matter how well they bring up their children. 131873 is my open line number. Yesterday I raised with Barry O'Farrell, and this disturbs me, I have to say, and I think I know a little bit about what's good and bad in education, that the government are going to sell the Gosford Public School. Now, the people at Gosford don't really object to that in a sense because they understand it's prime waterfront land, and I think they've been very, very reasonable about it. And they're saying, well, we can understand that happening, but that doesn't mean to say the primary school at Gosford should be moved in with Henry Kendall High School. And we come to this issue again. We have a new government, new people, new administration. There needs to be a new think. I believe any school with an enrolment of 1,300 is far too big, I'm sorry, and that's what public money is for. That is not education. 1,300 kids. However, if it's a school of 1,300 with 5-year-olds at one end and 18-year-olds at the other, forget it. Burn the joint down. It's not education. I don't care what the bureaucrats say. Oh, yes, they'll trot out a case that, oh, Minister, this will save us money and we'll get big dough for the prime waterfront land. Well, by all means, sell the waterfront land if that makes money. But this school, Gosford, should be relocated somewhere else. We should be not putting 5-year-olds in the same playground as 18-year-olds. But my opinion, if I was the Education Minister tomorrow, I would close every school over 800 kids. 800's too many. You just imagine, and I'm going to talk to the Education Minister, just run through in a moment here, but just supposing you, me, okay, I'm a broadcaster, and they say, now, Alan, finish up at 2GB tomorrow and go and work at 3XY. There will be 800 staff there, or 1,300 staff. You'd think, holy Godfather, where do I start? Where do I fit in? And I'm an adult. I'm a grown-up. Where would I fit in? How intimidating is this? That in an educational environment, people are just units. No identity, nothing. This is not education. I'm sorry, and we've been going this way for years and years and years. Adrian Piccoli is on the line. Minister, good morning.
Good morning, Alan.
This is not education, Minister. I don't know where you were educated. This is not education. I don't care what you call it, but it isn't education.
Well, Alan, the issue about Gosford Public School has been going on for a couple of years.
Now, hang on. Forget that. We'll come to that in a minute. You're a new bloke in the job here. Are we going to finish up with schools with 2,500 kids in them because it's more economically viable? This is not education, to be shoving kids like cattle in a cattle truck in an entity that's so big they completely lose their identity.
Well, this is not done to make a big school. In fact, there are a number of schools with over 1,000 students who do very, very well.
I don't care how well they do, you're looking at some kind of statistical, bureaucratic assessment. Go and talk to individual children. You might have 25 getting to the top of the class. They'd get to the top of the state if they were under a hot tin roof or a tree in the bush. You go to the bottom end and see how many kids are being lost and abandoned in this kind of impersonal environment. I know, I've seen it.
Oh, Alan, I mean, I can't agree with you. I mean, there are schools like King's has got kindergarten to year 12 in a big site.
Hang on. The King's School have got acres and acres and acres and acres, and the primary school and the secondary school are separated. They're not in the same playground, and they don't have one playground.
They're separated. They're separated at Gosford.
And they don't have one playground.
At Gosford Public School, Gosford Public and Henry Kendall are going to be separate. They're next to each other. That's the case in about 50 schools across New South Wales.
Hang on, you are selling one piece of real estate?
Yes.
So how do you mean they're next to one another? We know they're next to one another, and one of the next is going to be sold.
No. Gosford Public is not next to Henry Kendall. They're separate.
No, I know that. They're separate schools, but you're amalgamating them into the one entity.
Yes, because Henry Kendall, the site where Henry Kendall is big enough to have also a public school on it.
Who said it's big enough?
Gosford Public. I've been there to have a look myself. They showed me what they're going to do with the principal and with staff. I know there's a difference of opinion, and some parents are unhappy about it. And I heard your intro, but some of the unhappiness is about the redevelopment of the Gosford CBD.
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, the community, I'm reading a quote, and in fact, Jackie Draper is on the line here. Jackie, come in, would you please? You have said the community is appalled that the government would consider moving the school, but you said you accept that the government will sell the land. You don't mind that, but the primary school should be moved to its own site and not amalgamated. That's your point, isn't it?
That's correct, Alan. That's exactly right. The school community understands the school will have to move from the site, but don't put it to within the grounds of Henry Kendall.
There you are. Adrian Piccoli?
It's next to Henry Kendall. It is separated. In fact, one of the...
Well, I think this parent would know a bit more than you would about the school.
Well,
it's actually on the same site, sir. And they're actually sharing.
Hang on, Adrian. Listen to this. Go on.
They are sharing a building, and they are sharing the playground because the site is too small.
There you are.
For them not to.
Absolutely.
It's on 4.64 hectares of land. It's not even big enough for the recommended size of a high school of 6 hectares. How can you say there is enough room for it to be separate? It is not separate.
Go on, Minister.
Alan, I've been to have a look. I've had a lot to do with this, including with the local member who I've consulted with. I've met with the Teachers Federation.
The local member? Who's that? They're both Holstein?
Yes, Chris Holstein.
Yeah, he doesn't answer correspondence.
Well, he's been involved with me over this project. I've been to have a look.
Yeah, but hang on, who count here? Don't the parents count? You have said in a note that I got from your office yesterday that you've met the parents of students at Gosford High, you've met the New South Wales Teachers Federation, you've met the principal of Henry Kendall High School. Well, Jackie Draper is telling me that they've got a petition of over 10,000. What does that mean?
Well, Alan, I know there are differences of opinion.
Hang on. Not differences of opinion. A petition of 10,000. What does that mean?
Well, that's exactly what it is. Exactly what it says it is. A petition.
But Barry O'Farrell said if it was a petition of over 10,000,
there are parents who think what is
10,000. 10,000, and you think that's capable of being dismissed. Barry O'Farrell went to the election saying that if there was a petition of 10,000, it would be a matter of significant debate within the Parliament.
And it has been, Alan. It was debated last week.
Of course, Barry O'Farrell's got a thumping majority, and they'll vote for the minister.
And, Alan, I've been involved in this before the election and after the election. I reviewed it as I promised I would do. We added some additional things.
God, you must be desperate for money. You must be desperate for the Gosford High School money to go on in the face of a petition of 10,500. Jackie Draper, would you come in here? The minister says that in 2011 he met with the parents of students at Gosford Public School. Are you aware of that?
Well, the only time I'm aware that he came up to Gosford when he made the announcement in June last year and had a look at the site and spoke to the principal of Henry Kendall. He didn't speak to the principal of Gosford Primary School, I'm aware, and that's the only time he came up. When he's talking about speaking to parents, I think that might be when he made his announcement at the waterfront.
Okay, when else, Minister, when else? When else have you been there other than when you made the announcement?
I was up there, I think, in about November when there was a community cabinet at Gosford.
Well, it's quite extraordinary. It's quite...
I spent an hour and a half or so there at the school.
But hang on, this is a Gosford Public Action Group that speaks on behalf of the community, and have you spoken to Jackie Draper?
I don't think so particularly. I can't say I've spoken to every parent from Gosford Public. That's of course the case.
But hang on, here is the body that's representing these beleaguered parents, and you haven't discussed things with them. The Teachers Federation, have you spoken to Maury Mulheron?
I haven't spoken to him because...
Well, he's the president.
...for a couple of months, but I met with the Teachers Federation...
Hang on, Maury Mulheron is the president, and you haven't met with him?
Well, Alan, I met with Bob Lipscomb last year when I met with them, who was the president of the Teachers Federation at the time. Met with him, met with the local representative who I think works at Henry Kendall on a number of occasions about this, and she's expressed her views very strongly to me. But, Alan, we have to make decisions in education. I think this is going
to... look, but Adrian, don't go on about to me. You cannot make decisions. Don't come with that nonsense with me. I mean, I've been around too long to cop this. As a petition of 10,500 signatures, there is something seriously wrong with the decision. That petition was delivered to the lower house. So you're telling me now, on public radio, you couldn't give a stuff about the petition?
No, I never said that, Alan. You just said that.
Well, hang on. You've ignored it. That means you can't give a stuff about it.
Alan, there are lots of petitions, but I have to make decisions on the information I've been given, and I think the decision I made...
Well, that's part of the information. 10,500 signatures, that's part of the information.
Is the best decision for Gosford Public. And
hello. This is Julia Gillard Revisited, this.
Alan,
hang on. Adrian Piccoli, you're sounding like Clover Moore and Julia Gillard wrapped into one. We'll have the bike lanes, even though 10,500 people say we shouldn't. We'll have a carbon tax, even though 10,500 interested people say we shouldn't. This is Clover Moore and Julia Gillard revisited. You were elected to be different.
Well, Alan, one of the bits of information that I was given was that the petition was set up outside the stadium there in Gosford, and people, as they drove in, were asked to sign it. So I'm not sure.
Oh, now you're going to discredit the locals.
You're asking me why we haven't changed a government policy decision based on a petition. Look, of course we take those kinds of things seriously, but I'm also given a great deal of other information, and the decision I've made is in the best interest of students from Gosford Public School and Henry Kendall, and I'm satisfied with that.
The best interest of students? You're kidding me. You are kidding me.
I'm kidding you, Alan.
You are kidding me. You know diddly squat about education other than you've got the portfolio. Diddly squat. You're not a trained teacher. You've studied education. You've just got a gigantic bureaucracy which has inherited a report by the previous government that $450 million could be made from the closure of 80 primary and 20 high schools. Education...
That's not the case, Alan.
Well, that's true. That's exactly where this has come from.
No.
Oh.
Not at all, Alan. The Gosford community want to redevelop the centre of Gosford, and Gosford Public School is part of that, and that's why it needed to find a different site. We looked at the other options. We looked at all of the other options in detail, including reconsidering them after the election, and the decision was that the best site was at Henry Kendall.
Yeah, I'm running out of patience with all of this, I have to tell you. I didn't think that the O'Farrell government would be a Clover Moore or Julia Gillard government. I thought it would actually listen to people in the local community. You have in your possession the Boston Consulting Group report commissioned by the previous government. What is its status?
I've never. It's been sent to me, but I've never seen it, never read it, Alan.
Oh no, but the bureaucrats have, and you're taking advice from the bureaucrats. And I'll tell you what it says, because I've read it. And it's found that $450 million could be made from the closure of 80 primary and 20 high schools. And so there's a hit list. And so bit by bit they're dribbling it out to a minister who's got them, they've got him hook, line and sinker. And go up to Little Gosford, and you've got this bloke Holstein, who doesn't answer correspondence, who's allegedly a tireless advocate, according to your office, for the community, a tireless advocate, and there are 10,500 people. Jackie Draper, what status does this 10,500 petition have?
Well, it's obvious that...
But he said it was signed outside the football stadium.
Well, no, we went outside the football stadium. We have done a calculation of how many residents around the Central Coast area signed that petition, and there was over 8,000 within that area alone. That's right. So if he's insinuating it's people that are not on the Central Coast area, that is untrue.
And I mean, basically you are saying, as I would agree, this is too small for the enrolment of 1,300, and it's inappropriate for 5-year-olds sharing a playground with 18-year-olds.
That is exactly right. Everyone who we approached, we mentioned our situation, the first thing they say is that is the most ridiculous thing they have ever heard. Now, all we're asking for Mr. Piccoli to sit down with us, talk about the other possible sites, and we want to know what that review consisted of, because we understand that he's only been speaking to Mr. Holstein. Well, who has Mr. Holstein been speaking to, and where did
you wouldn't know.
Exactly. How did he get that review?
You wouldn't know.
That review has never been made.
Adrian Piccoli, a good minister is one who can see that the hole is getting deeper and deeper, and he stops digging. There is a woman saying, why wouldn't you sit down with the people that she represents, that's the Public Action Group, I venture to say she knows more about it than you do, and have a rethink of all of this. There are other ways of getting the money that you need.
Alan, the decision is not going to be changed. I have to be honest with you. The decision
okay, goodbye. That's Adrian Piccoli. He's gone as Education Minister. You're gone. He's gone. There's one bloke. There's one casualty. No use talking to the bloke. That's Clover Moore. That's Clover Moore and Julia Gillard. Jackie, you heard that? Jackie Draper, the decision...
I did. Well, hopefully we have a Save the Gosford Public School bill currently going through the upper house.
Yep.
Maybe other ministers will disagree with Mr. Piccoli.
Yep.
And
Well, it's not over. It's not over.
For this bill.
This is Julia Gillard carbon tax and Clovermore bicycle lanes revisited. There we are. The decision will stand. Couldn't care less about the local community. Couldn't care less about anybody. And he thinks he knows more about education in Gosford than do the parents. It's 26 minutes after 6.
2GB traffic, thanks to Fantastic Furniture. Big on value, big on range, small on price.
Preston's the M7 truck has rolled northbound just past the Benira